G'day YouTube, Warbles on a lot here. Bit of a rave about phones. I'm shooting this on the 2 megapixel Nokia 6120 Classic that I've had for about 4 years and that I started running the YouTube channel on. Couple of good things about this phone. I can shoot a 15-minute movie on it and upload it in less than 20 minutes, and it costs about $1.20 worth of browser pack for 50 to 54 megabytes. However, the buttons on the phone are falling to pieces and the battery life's getting a bit short, and the SIM card's nearly 4 years old. 8 of the buttons are held together with epoxy and sticky tape. 2 of them have got other bits of plastic glued in. The navigation keyring, that's missing 1/4 of its segment. So yeah, the phone's getting a bit tricky to use. So as a sort of special treat to the subscriber base, I bought a 5 megapixel Nokia C500. However, it had problems too. One of the kind of showstoppers was that the camera randomly crashes, sometimes 30 seconds and sometimes 14.5 minutes into a movie. That's incredibly frustrating. It means that whereas you might normally spend 6 hours painstakingly shooting a 15-minute video, this thing would crash it for you and it would take all bloody day. The other thing is, if you could upload that 15-minute video, it wouldn't be 54 megabytes, it would be 220 or so, because the camera shoots in finer detail and the file is bigger. So $7.50 instead of $1.20 worth of browser pack. Ouch. Still, that's an incentive to shoot shorter movies. Telegrammatic, you know. But there was an even bigger showstopper, which is that whereas this camera has a browser which highlights unopened inboxes in bold blue, so that when somebody asks to be added to my contact list, and it takes as long as 4 weeks for that to get through the YouTube system, and during the 4 weeks they show up as you have an inbox, but you can scroll backwards through 100 pages of inboxes and look at 1,000 of them and hit the internal server error message and not find them. Because, like I said, it takes 4 weeks for them to get through the system. Finally they show up, and on this phone they show up in bold blue type, and I can notice them 900 messages back in the scroll and say, ah yes, you want to be a contact, I'll add you as a contact, thank you very much. The Nokia C500 fails to highlight unopened inboxes in any kind of way that you can notice. So for someone trying to run a YouTube channel on a mobile phone, it's a pain in the arse 3 different ways. It costs a bomb, 4 different ways. Costs a bomb, it won't upload a 15-minute movie, you can't shoot a 15-minute movie without spending all day on it and getting very cranky, and it won't highlight your unopened inboxes. So it's off for a warranty claim, but Nokia's changed their phone mechanics and they think they've lost about a truckload of phones. So maybe it'll come back, maybe it won't. In the meantime, my son discovered on eBay somebody in an e-shop who had 10 7-inch screen NetPads with a QWERTY keyboard, 4 gig hard drive or memory or whatever it is, ability to cope with having an extra memory chip added, 3 USB ports, and we thought it would work on a dongle in Australia, but it won't because it's Android and dongles are Windows. So it was going to need a Wi-Fi box, which was going to be $130 added onto the $75 NetPad, and then $30 for a credit voucher to charge the Wi-Fi box. So that was getting pretty expensive, and because it had a full laptop level connection to YouTube but its screen was 1/4 the size, the characters were actually about 1/4 the size on the NetPad as what they were on this phone, because the screen on the phone is designed for a phone, the screen on a NetPad is designed for a laptop. So yeah, you'd need a magnifying glass to read the YouTube screen on a NetPad. Really, it's that bad. Also, if this phone, this old Nokia 6120, if it takes 30 seconds to connect and more than 30 seconds to load, I figure I've got something wrong with the connection. The NetPad spent 10 minutes trying to load one movie from YouTube so I could look at it. I never got to look at the movie. It shows on my scroll that on my activities list I could see that I had tried to look at it, but I never saw the movie. So the NetPad's a fail. Happily, I didn't actually buy the Wi-Fi connector box. We used my son's iPhone as a Wi-Fi hotspot just to test the system. Also, happily, instead of me sending it back and making a warranty claim on it because it didn't do what it was supposed to do, my son has need of an electronic notebook to catalogue alternator parts while he's rebuilding them on his workbench. So he bought it off me for the $75 that it cost me. So he's thinking about finding me a low-end laptop to get a proper YouTube connection. What I'm trying to do is get a phone that can handle it. Now there's two I've got in mind, and I'd like some advice from those techno heads out there. There's a Nokia Ashe, A-S-H-A, which is a QWERTY-Keypad with a bigger than normal phone screen, 3.2 megapixel camera, and the only reason I'm shying away from it is it's $129, but it's Optus or it's Virgin, and I want it to be Telstra, so there'll be an $80 unlocking fee. But I need to have it Telstra because my kids are both Telstra, and Telstra gives me 1 cent texts to my kids, and it means I can send credit to either of them if they're out of credit. Sometimes my daughter needs credit. So that's $210 for the Nokia Ashe with a QWERTY-Keypad, a 3.2 megapixel camera, and I'm hoping it will be halfway between what I'm shooting on and the C500 that had too big a camera for the mobile phone YouTube network. The Nokia Ashe is up against a phone with a 3.2 megapixel camera, a QWERTY-Keypad, same, looks the same. It's got a circular navigation key instead of a square navigation key, so ergonomically that's going to be harder to break. And it's $100 for an unlocked phone that I can stick a Telstra SIM into, possibly the SIM that I'm using in this phone. If not, I'll buy a Telstra SIM. But the point is, I'm asking for anybody, particularly Guy J. Harrison, who's had previous good ideas on what phones have got what wrong with them. If you know any good information on the Huawe 3.2 megapixel QWERTY-Keypad mobile phone and the Nokia Ashe and their browser and the Telstra and the YouTube inbox issue, if you could pretty please give me a heads up on the comment thread here, I would be deeply grateful, and you know, like, you will have done a favour for somebody else in the universe, so therefore the universe will probably feel like doing a favour for you next time you want one. I don't often ask for favours on the universe, but here we go, you know. Can anybody in YouTube tell me which phone is worth buying, because I've already had 2 duds in a row. Right? And I'd rather not get a laptop because of my long-standing aversion to having a computer. The NetPad was a step in that direction, but I'd rather manage my site from a mobile phone if it's at all possible. Ciao.